Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating and for some, pretty controversial topic, the intersection of ancient faith and cutting-edge technology. We're going to look at how artificial intelligence is finding its way into the church and ask the big question, what does that actually mean?
Okay, let's just jump right in with some pretty striking data from a 2024 Barna study. Take a look at this. When you ask pastors about using AI for things like graphic design or marketing, a whopping 88% are on board. But the moment you get to the core of what a pastor does, that comfort level just nosedives. Less than half are cool with using it for sermon research, and get this, only a tiny 12% would even consider using AI to actually write a sermon.
So what's going on here? That massive gap reveals a core tension we're going to unpack in this explainer. What is the proper role for AI inside a church? Is it just a helpful assistant, or could it be a genuine threat to what ministry is all about?
First, let's look at where AI is being welcomed with pretty much open arms. For a lot of people, it's not some scary threat, but a really practical and powerful tool. Think of it as a digital assistant for the modern age.
I mean, think about all the administrative work it takes to run a church. AI can whip up graphics, draft emails, and help track attendance. But it goes way deeper than that. The potential for the church's mission is actually huge, from speeding up Bible translations into obscure languages to using automated systems to pinpoint needs in a community and then connect volunteers to help out. That's pretty amazing.
So, and this is the crucial point, this is not a what-if conversation about the future. The technology is already here and it's being woven into the daily life of the church, touching everything from how leaders communicate to how they organize their people.
But, as we saw in those opening numbers, there's a very clear line that many are not willing to cross. And that hesitation is there for a reason. It's surrounded by some very serious ethical questions and some major red flags. This quote right here really gets to the heart of the matter. See, a sermon isn't supposed to be just a speech. It's meant to be the result of study, prayer, and really listening to the specific needs of a group of people. The big fear is that AI, no matter how polished it sounds, just replaces that real human connection and spiritual insight with something sterile.
And you know, the problem goes even deeper than just sermon writing. There's a technical issue baked right into the technology itself, and it's called algorithmic bias. Basically, every AI is trained on data, and that data is not neutral. It reflects the culture that made it, warts and all.
The data that feeds these AI models? It usually underrepresents huge chunks of the world's population. People from non-Western cultures, the poor, ethnic minorities, people with disabilities. This means an AI's so-called insights could completely miss or even misunderstand the perspectives of the very communities a church might be trying to serve.
But the rabbit hole goes even deeper than biased data. The ethical concerns start to touch on the very purpose of the church itself and what it even means to be successful.
This quote points to a really subtle but powerful danger. When you bring in tools that are all about efficiency, it's easy to start thinking that the most important things are the things you can measure. Attendance numbers, online engagement, growth charts. And without even realizing it, the mission can start to feel less like spiritual formation and more like just marketing a product.
And this forces a really critical question. What do you lose when you prioritize what's easy to count over what actually matters? Things like compassion, wisdom, and quiet reflection. You can't really put those on a spreadsheet, can you? They can easily get shoved aside in the rush for a scalable, AI-driven solution.
This all leads to a fascinating idea called the paradox of toil. Think about your smartphone. It promised to save us all this time, but for many of us, it just filled that time with more tasks, more emails, more notifications. We ended up more frantic than before. The fear is that AI, brought in to solve the pressure to produce constant content, could do the exact same thing, just speeding up the pace of ministry, not allowing for deeper, slower work.
So, okay, you've got this incredible promise on one hand, and these very real perils on the other. How can the church possibly move forward wisely? How do you use the tool without falling into all the traps?
Well, the sources seem to suggest that the key is to draw a really clear line between two different ways of thinking about AI. Is it a replacement, where you're outsourcing sermons and automating care? Or is it an enhancement, a tool that helps with tough tasks like translation, helps you see real needs, and ultimately empowers people instead of replacing them? And this, right here, is the guiding principle. Technology has to serve the mission, not the other way around. For the church, that mission is all about real, embodied presence and relationships. The goal should be to use these tools to help people connect more deeply, not to stick a machine in between them.
And ultimately,
This leaves us all with a pretty provocative thought that goes way beyond this one topic. As we all integrate more and more powerful tools into our lives, we all face the same challenge. How do we make sure our technology is building human connection instead of just becoming a convenient replacement for it?